Danny Koontz. Welcome to another episode of FM Corner. Today we're going to talk about tips. 8 simple tips to help lower your costs, keep your operations safe. In every restaurant, being as a facility person for many years, you find things and you find commonalities all over. It's usual problems in most locations. Nobody really has one that's unique. It happens in lots of properties. So as a facility manager, you try to find a way to pass along tips and support to help the restaurant managers, because it applies to a bunch of them, not just a few. And then hopefully those tips will help them save a little money. That's what we're going to talk about today. First one is run stainless steel over the corners in your kitchen. Take it from the base up maybe 5-6 feet and just run stainless, cheap stainless, but stainless. Because anytime those walls are tiled off, over time, you got carts, you got stuff moving through the kitchen, people, you're going to ding those things up. And you're going to end up knocking out that tile or whatever it may be. So take stainless or something else if you so choose, but run that stainless on all your corners. So it'll protect them and you won't be having to go in there where they get damaged or hit by a cart or a two-wheeler or a guy bringing in product, whatever it may be. Over time, they're going to get destroyed. Also keeps them having points taken off by the health department. So put the stainless, take another type of guard if you so choose, but run those guards on every corner in the kitchen. Second piece, keep hoses out of the kitchen, if at all possible. May not have many of these anymore, but if you have a second floor location, by all means, do not let a hose be in your kitchen. Over time, you're going to leak on the guy below you. It's just a matter of time. It will happen. And then you're going to have to pay him for your damage. And a really smart guy below you, suddenly his products are going to be worth 10 times what he paid for it, because he's looking for a payday because you leaked on him and you have no options. But for any restaurant, I recommend, don't put a hose in your kitchen. I have walked into properties and seen people hosing out a convection oven with a hose. It's clean. It's the cleanest piece of equipment in the building, but the controls aren't going to work because they're going to get wet. Try to use, especially clean the floor, use a mop, do it the way that it's been designed. Don't put that hose out there and let everybody on your team have it, because they're going to take it and they're going to spray it everywhere. And what they're going to do is they're going to loosen the grout. So your grout and tile problem is going to be there for forever, because it's going to get loosened up by the pressure of that water. And then the other thing is it's going to get into equipment it shouldn't. And over time, it's going to do damage to that equipment that's going to cost you and the company a lot of money. So try to keep that hose out of your restaurant. If you have to have one on property, keep it locked up in the manager's office, so at least you have someone to kind of be responsible for it. If you need it for the parking lot or something like that, that's fine, but keep it locked up in the manager's office so that everybody just doesn't have access to it and uses it for anything. It will cause you a lot of damage over time. Third thing, control your thermostats. Have your thermostats pre-programmed and set them up where no matter what, if any of your team members out there move them 5 or 6 degrees, they only move 2. They can do whatever they want to them, but it's only going to move 2 degrees, one way or the other. Or use lockable if you so choose. You can lock those thermostats with covers if you want to go that route. But people have a way of walking in the morning and it's really cold in here, and they flip that air conditioner temperature from 65 to 75. It's going to get really hot really quick, and it's going to probably be at a prime time about 8 a.m. when electric bills are the highest, and that's what's going to cause higher bills. The other thing, it's really hot in the building when they came in, and they turned it from 75 to 60. Oh, it'll get to 60, and then your units on the roof are going to freeze up, and then you're going to start having rain come through your roof. So set your thermostats, program them the way you want. Either set them a way that only lets, no matter how they're moved, they can only go a degree or 2, or make sure they're all lockable and don't leave the keys in them when you lock them, so that team members cannot come up there and do swings of 8, 10, 15 degrees, because they will, because they don't understand. So you can help control your costs. Keep all your faucets in good working order. Keep an eye on constant water running or drips that just never stop. Get those fixed. Speak to your teams. Talk about the water bill. Talk about how much it costs every 24 hours that sink runs, or how much it costs every time that sink drips steadily for 24 hours. Give them a number. If it's a manager and part of his bonus is tied to utilities, make sure you tell him, here's how much money that costs you. Because now you're talking about money that ends up a percentage of that coming out of his pocket or hers. It will matter. But go in and stop. Get all those fixed at once when you see them. And make it a point to speak about every chance you get to remind them, stop from having faucets that run. Because it's pennies to them, but it's big dollars to you. Speak with your landscaper. Try to keep mulch away from your building. If you have all brick, it's not as big an issue. But older buildings, some companies still have wood or different stuff on the outside of their buildings. And you put that mulch by the landscaper right up next to the building. It looks really nice. But here's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to walk by with a cigarette and throw it. And it's going to hit into that mulch that's up against the building. And the next thing you know, you got a building on fire. And that's cost you a lot of money and cost you a lot of downtime. So have your landscaper, if you have old wood buildings or anything like that, where there is a chance for that mulch to, in the summer, help catch your building on fire, just take little pebbles and run about a 12 to 18 inch runway. Looks like a runway for a rat or something, but do that so that you create a little bit of separation between the building, and tell your landscaper, don't pass where the rock is. Don't put that mulch up against the building. Just tell them that, they usually won't do it. Once they see the rock there, because odds are that's who you're going to have put the rock down, they will take better care of it and you'll keep that mulch away. And in the summer, the chance of a cigarette going into that mulch and causing the building to catch on fire will go way down. Water heaters. It's always a good idea to have your plumber drain your water heater once a year. And he drains that water heater so he can clean out the sludge that builds up in the bottom. And if you do that, you have the opportunity to extend the life of your water heater. So again, as we all know, water heaters go down on Friday and Saturday night. It's not going to go down on Friday. It's going to live longer. You're going to have better use out of it by having your plumber come in and drain the water, clean that sludge out so it doesn't get worse, then put the water back in the heater. He can also check the water. Are there any other parts, anything like that needs to be done, so that you get better life out of the heater and your chance of it going down is not as fast. It's going to take longer for that to happen. So it's a good idea to have your plumber do that. The mechanical room. Storage is an issue at every casual restaurant out there. And you as a facility manager have always dealt with it. So in trying to help, first thing to do is try to find little pockets of storage that the restaurant can use. One of the most unused spots is underneath a booth. If you have booths in your restaurant, underneath that booth is usually dead space. It's a great place for papers, to-go products, things like that you can get access to. But one of the other things, the simple place for people to put stuff is in the mechanical room. Over time, you're going to have a problem because you're going to put stuff too close to the water heater, and when it fires up, it's going to cause a problem. At the very least, talk to your operators about how to keep a distance between the water heater and the products. If you can, put little shelves in there, let them put stuff on the shelves. That will keep it away from something else. Every time you go to a property, check the water heater room and look and see what's there. If you do have a pattern of restaurants that put way too much in the mechanical room, you might think about taking a little piece of pipe, very cheap PVC pipe, but build you a little fence around the water heater. So if the water heater breaks and the plumber needs to get to it, he can take that PVC pipe out. It's not hard, but at least build a little barrier that keeps the restaurant from putting items up against it. Because over time, when they're out of space and they got to have somewhere to put something, the mechanical room's where it's going to be. You can prevent a fire or something like that from happening by educating them on why you keep a water heater away from some of their products. And the last one is think about using lockable drain covers in your kitchen. Reason being, and it's kind of tied into the hose conversation, but people at night when they clean the restaurant want to get out of there as quick as they can. And that's why they use a hose, because you spray everything. And you spray everything to the drain. Well, drain covers come off. Everything goes down the drain. If you've ever been there when they've, you've had a backup and they've had to get down into the drains, you can't imagine all the stuff that comes out. All the forks, all the silverware, anything that comes out of that when they have to drain it out. And the reason for that is because you typically will use a hose. So if you stop a hose, that's a good thing. But if you have a problem with that, maybe you think about a lockable drain cover. And the managers are the only ones that have the key, so that at night, even if they have some bad habits, they're not going to be able to take that drain cover off and get access to a big hole where all kinds of stuff can go down there. At least it will stop it at the top to where people can clean it off. So think about using a lockable drain cover. Those are 8 tips. It's not tons of money, but by using some of those or all of those, you may prevent an accident from happening, a fire, or damage to your restaurant, damage to your equipment. So speak to your teams. It's a way to save some money, and it's a way to have your restaurant in better shape and with better safety precautions for your team. That's our episode for today. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, advice is always free at FM Corner. We'll see you next week.